Hi there. Growing older isn't what it used to be, is it? When you think about it, you think about your parents' generation and your grandparents' generation. They were very different to how we are now. I remember looking at my mum's friends and thinking that they'd just kind of faded into a state of crimpoline and quietness. We didn't really have the role models, did we, like we do now? We expect to have a longer, more active life. But in those days, women in particular were expected to fade out of the public eye. Let me know what you remember about your parents and grandparents in the comments. I'd love to see. I'd like to introduce you today to two people whose TED Talks really changed the way I looked at growing older. And I'm hoping that they're going to inspire you too. But first, let's take a look at how things have changed in the last century. At the beginning of the 20th century, we had childhood, we had adulthood, and old age. And adulthood started at the age of 12 until in 1918 in the UK, the school leaving age was raised to 14. So at the age of 14, children were supposed to become economically active. They were economic units contributing to the family pot. In 1904, the psychologist G. Stanley Hall identified a period of what he called great storm and stress, and he called it adolescence. This is a new developmental stage that he'd identified, which had been made possible by societal changes. And of course, that really came to fruition, didn't it, in the 1940s when we started calling these young people from the age of 13 to 19 teenagers. This was more of a marketing thing than anything else, than a psychological one, but it definitely came into the zeitgeist, if you like, that we then have four life stages: childhood, adulthood, no, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and old age. Thing is, now in the 21st century, we're living longer. At the turn of the century in the UK, the average life expectancy for a woman was 50. And with an average life expectancy of 50, there wasn't really any time for old age, was there? In 2021 in the UK, and it's similar in all of the Western countries, it's 80 for a woman and 78 for a man. So think about that. If you're 60 now, you could have another 30 good years left. And if you're 45, you're actually only halfway through this roller coaster that we call life. Great, isn't it? Now we're talking about lifespan here, not health span. And I'm definitely going to cover that in another video because I think that's fascinating. Let's carry on looking at our stages of life because we no longer work in the same way, do we? And we retire later, if at all. Here in the UK, when I started working, a woman retired at 60 and got her state pension, and a man retired at 65. And they made that equal for men and women, 65, not so long ago. But now, as it stands, they keep pushing it back, moving the goalposts more and more, so that by the time I retire, having been born in 1961, I will be 67. We now have a culture, don't we, where we exercise and we know about diet, and it's not unusual to go and keep yourself fit. In fact, it's expected that you will. When I was a kid, I don't know about you, when I was a teenager, I mean, you never saw anybody jogging. You know, they would have been catcalled. It just wasn't something that you saw. And our expectations as a consequence of our lives has changed. So what percentage of your life do you have left? Midlife is no more than a pit stop, said Chip Conley. And Chip Conley is one of the people I want to introduce you to, along with gerontologist Barbara Waxman. Barbara Waxman has identified that menopause is actually like adolescence in reverse. If you think about it, when we go through puberty, our hormones are all up and down, all over the place, and it's exactly the same during menopause. But I actually think it's midlife itself and all the upheaval. It's not just about hormones. As somebody pointed out in the comments of one of my recent videos, men go through these changes too. Emotionally and psychologically, we all go through these changes once we hit midlife. Not when we hit midwife, please don't hit a midwife. When we hit midlife, we start thinking, well, where have I been and where do I want to go? And am I happy? And if I'm not happy, well, what am I going to do about it? Barbara Waxman identified this new life stage as what she calls middlescence. So if adolescence prepares us for adulthood, what is middlescence preparing us for? And this is where Chip Conley comes in. He is an entrepreneur and he founded the Modern Elder Academy in Baja, California, where he has a curriculum for midlifers who want to work out what's next. And I really urge you to watch his TED Talk and Barbara Waxman's, and I'll put the links down in the notes below. So Chip identified new life stages for the 21st century. I'm talking about him as if I know him, you know, my mate Chip. I've read so much of his stuff and I've seen so many of his videos. You know, you start to feel as if you actually know someone, don't you? If he's watching this. Hi, Chip. Apart from childhood, obviously that's not changed. We still have childhood, but although it's a lot longer now than it used to be. The next stage is the emerging adult. And this is our late teens and early 20s. It's the time where we're full of potential, and it's the time to learn and really discover who we are. I have a grandchild who's doing that at the moment. Oh, it's so lovely. And I do vaguely remember it myself. I don't know about you. From our 20s into our mid-40s, we move into the embodied adult stage. Now, this is a stage which is a time for building, for accumulation. So it's when we create careers and we're push on that career ladder, or we're making families, and buying stuff that makes us feel as though we've got somewhere in life. And then there's Middlescence, what Chip Conley calls the gooey period of transition, where we enter a cocoon, becoming an emerging elder. I love that analogy. I don't know about you, but midlife for me definitely felt very gooey. And definitely there was this sense that something was happening, something was coming, that life was never going to be the same again. I'd love to know, once again, do you recognize that yourself? Do you relate to the idea of being in a gooey period of transition in midlife? Finally, we move into the embodied elder stage. This is a period of wisdom, a period of giving back and of mentorship. So wisdom, he says, is now at a premium, and the world needs wisdom workers. What are wisdom workers? Well, it's you if you're over 60, and it's me, which is a bit of a responsibility, isn't it? But I'm sure you've felt that feeling of, I have so much to give, but there's no vehicle in society for me to actually give back and to share what I've learned through my life. These are our skills now. So rather than that thrusting, push of moving up the corporate ladder or whatever path you took in your career, it's a period of creativity, of intuition and values-based thinking. We have the ability to understand human emotion because we've lived through so much. Wisdom is not something that's taught, it's something that's shared. So we need to work with young people in organisations where we value both sets of skills. So the younger people coming in who are full of potential and new ideas, we can learn so much from them. And then, of course, there's your middle group, who are in full flow. And then there's us with our experience and our ability to understand human interaction, to humanize a company. And together, we make a whole. Working together, we make something rather special. And this is the shame of it, that so many companies shunt off older workers because the newer ones coming in are cheaper, of course, and they bring the vigor and the energy of youth. And so many companies forget that we also need the calmer, more considered energy of older workers. Chip Conley says, the 20th century aging meant growing old. In the 21st century, aging means growing whole. And I think that's really encouraging, don't you? Together, we're stronger. If you found any value in this video, please drop a like and a subscribe for me, just so we can get it out to more people. See you in the next video.